So what about your former bosses? Have you were you intimidated to be working with a former president?
Um, no, no, not at all. I mean, he's a was a great businessman and successful entertainer, and it was at the time, definitely an honor to work for the organization and for him, and yeah, it wasn't intimidating at all. Um, I really enjoyed the process.
I have a question. Did he somehow ask you if you did you have an input in the selection of the top 15, just basing from, let's say, if your former bosses would probably get your input or opinion about which girls you think they should put in the top 15 based from the fact that you've been working for them for quite some time? No.
Nope, not at all.
But you wish you could.
Yeah.
Sir, how do you deal with accidents in rehearsals? There's no doubt that when these girls show up to your rehearsals, they're all in heels and fully made up. So it feels like one glamorous gym class. So have there been any accidents, like someone who tripped or twisted their ankles as they straggle information?
Yeah, we would have that on occasion, but not very often. And I think those sorts of things happen more so because they're just really tired because the days are very long.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone forgets that the rehearsal is just one part of their day. You know, Rehearsals are 8 or 9 hours, but then they have to go to dinners and they have to go to see shows and go to events and make appearances and all of these other commitments that they have. So sometimes they're up until, as you see, someone's sleeping on stage right there. That's probably because that rehearsal came after a really long night, and
Oh, yeah.
used to a schedule like that, it can be really, really tough. So, and also, you know, there, I really feel like the only time that we ever had an accident, it was just purely because they were tired.
Yeah.
When you're tired, you make mistakes. When you're tired, accidents happen. So we didn't really have a lot of those, though, in the time that I was there. I think the hardest thing for the girls is walking on stairs and try, like, as you're seeing, you see what
Yes.
that young lady right there. We try to teach them to walk downstairs without looking at the stairs, which is a hard thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So
Luciana would really be mad if you would be walking down the stairs while walking. Yeah.
that's the hardest. That and walking in their national costumes is incredibly
Oh,
difficult.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's understandable, sir.
Some of
That's
those costumes,
understandable.
and even some of them, the girls literally cannot move. Like, they can't walk. All they can do is stand and turn in place. So, and that's funny because I only see those costumes the day that we shoot those segments. So it's always tricky for me because then they're like, "Oh yeah, I can't actually walk in this at all, and I can't see anything."
Yes. Sir, since I come from the Philippines, who was
Yes.
the most memorable Filipina candidate to you during your time? Can you still remember?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
2012.
Janine Tugonon. Yes. Yeah, in 22. Why, sir? Why is she
That's
standing out in
wonderful.
your
She was
she's
wonderful. Yeah, she was absolutely wonderful. Yeah. I mean, all three of those girls were phenomenal. That was a really
oh,
hard choice because they were all the three girls that are standing in front of me right now. I'm looking at the picture.
yes.
The top five, all of them were wonderful. But yeah, I thought she was. She. I know how much the pageant means to your country and to the Philippines,
Yes.
and when we started working with her, um, I thought, wow, she has a chance to win the crown, and that's gonna, like, first of all, I knew that it was gonna make everyone back in the Philippines very excited to see her in the show, and I thought, of all my years anyway of doing the show,
Yes, yes.
I thought of all of the 5 years that she was the strongest candidate representing. Yeah, it was just
Ooh. Did you know did you know that she's already doing well as a model there in the US? She's now based there in New York as a model. I mean, she has been
like,
walking. New York Fashion Week. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
wonderful.
yeah, yeah. She has also come out in a Victoria's Secret ad campaign recently. So she's really doing well as a model there.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So apart from Janito Goanon, I remember, sir, in 2010 when we first broke out in top 15 in Las Vegas for the first time since
Oh, the crowd went
1989.
crazy.
We really went wild. The Filipino crowd went wild. And since then, Filipinos have never looked back. Do you think Filipino fans are the best pageant fans in the world?
Oh, they're wonderful. Yeah, and I've been to the Philippines multiple times. I actually just went there last year, and
Oh, during the
uh,
pandemic, you were here?
oh no, sorry. Oh my gosh, it's been a year and some change. I went in December,
Of
November
2019.
2019. Yes,
Oh.
third or fourth time there. Third time, I think.
For-
So I'm familiar just with the culture and the people, and uh, yeah. So I know just what a wonderful people
how
live.
passion crazy we were.
Yeah, and I worked with a couple of Filipino artists prior to doing pageants. There were a couple of singers
Oh,
that I worked with.
like,
Uh, Gosh, if I can remember their names, Augie,
Augie Alcacid, Regine Velasquez.
Regine Velasquez.
Oh, I wish I had known you before so that I could have met you personally. So were you also working for them
uh,
behind the
no,
scenes
it was
for their concerts?
concerts when they came to the U.S. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, for their
oh,
shows in large Filipino markets in the U.S. Right, so they were
oh.
in Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Orange County. Yeah, so I again had a connection to Filipinos before, and doing those shows, the crowds were just so exuberant and so wonderful. Um, so yeah, I have a. It wasn't my first time just doing Miss Universe, experiencing
Ah,
Filipino crowd. Yeah.
that's great to hear, sir. I hope you could still come back even after the pandemic when this whole thing
Oh, I'm
is going to
sure.
be over.
I'm sure. I went to El Nido. I went
Oh my God. Oh
I've
my
been to
God.
Boracay, been to Manila multiple times. So yeah, I love it. I would like to visit more. So I'm sure it'll happen.
Oh my God. Yeah. Go. We really have the best beaches here, world famous beaches across the country. El Nido and Palawan, I feel like it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
There's more to
Yeah.
explore. Yeah. So, sir, we're down to my last few questions. Oh, I'm really having a great time talking with you, sir. Do you still follow Miss Universe up to this day?
Um, Not really. And the reason is I get asked this a lot actually. Once I've done something, I kind of put it in my rear view mirror, and
Oh,
it's kind of the same with all my jobs. Once I do it, I kind of I don't know if I follow, if I watch, if I stay connected. Um, I don't know. I'm very critical of work, and I don't want to look at someone else's work and be like, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way, or why did they do it this way? Because that's the way my mind would work.
yes,
I
yes.
just like to respect it, and I don't know. I like to keep the memories of my time there, as opposed to I don't know. I think I would. It's always hard for me to watch something if I'm something that I used to be involved in that I'm no longer involved in, because it's a lot of memories. I like to leave it in the rear view.
Yes.
No, and that's in no way saying that there's anything negative or there's anything bad about my experience. It's not that at all. I just I don't know. Once I do something, I kind of close that chapter and I move on.
So, sir, you've never watched a recent edition of Miss Universe?
I have not.
Okay,
and
because
and and I trust me. I have a lot of friends that work on the show, and people that work with me now that are on my team still work on the show. So it's not for, any other reason than what I said. I just kind of I like to put it in the rear view and close the chapter and move on to the next thing.
Because if your friends haven't told you yet, they have already scrapped out the opening numbers.
Right. No, that. Yeah.
In the pageant. So so my next question to you would have been, how do you feel that, the organization has already taken out the opening numbers? Because,
Yeah.
I feel like it really sets the mood and tone of the entire show.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I agree. I think it's unfortunate. I think you're absolutely right. I think one of the things that fans, and I've learned this, I learned this at my time there, obviously from talking to you now, it reinforces, conversations I had with people before, and from working on the show in other countries, and also just working with all the girls. I came to realize how important the opening number is for a lot of people. And you're absolutely right. In my opinion, it sets the tone for the show, right? It kind of
yes,
sets the tone, musically, visually. There was always a style, and it also just energized the crowd. The crowd sometimes, I would be shocked sometimes, by the response we would get from the crowd. And that's an important thing. And obviously I come from a choreography background, so the movement aspect of it is something that I feel is also becomes lost when you don't have an opening number. So movement is life. And
yes.
and
It's supposed to be an entertainment spectacle.
right. And the girls, the thing about it for me was it was the one time that they weren't being judged. And it's the one time that they, I'm sure they are, the judges are just, they're seeing them for the first time, and they're taking it all in. It's 90 people, you know what I mean? They're not
Yes,
being,
yes.
no scores are being tabulated. And for them, if they weren't progressing in the top 15, in the top 10, in the top 5, it really was their moment, you know? And it's a collective moment. It's the only time when all of the contestants work together. It's the only time in the show when all
Yes,
the
yes.
contestants had a unified effort on stage and worked together. And so it's unfortunate that that's gone.
So do you think they should bring it back somehow
Sure, I think for all the reasons.
after pandemic? Yeah. So, yeah, Omar is saying here, fans have been clamoring for an amazing production, not a declamation contest, because there's so many Q&A portions now if you watch Miss Universe.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah, there's more. Like, once they're called out in top 15, they'll be interviewed. And then
Right.
the next segment, they'll have to give a 30-second opening speech about what they would like the world to know more about them.
Okay.
and then okay, the swimsuit evening gown, and then once the top 5, another Q&A round, and then once you get the top 3, there's the final word, and then there's the final speech. I forgot what's the term for that, but anyway, sirs, there's so many talking rounds in Miss Universe now that it has that fans feel like it has diluted the entertainment spectacle of the show. So Alfonsi has a question here. If in case you'll get back to Miss Universe as a choreographer again, and they will be hosting it in a different country, talking about the culture, which country do you feel like incorporating your dance ideas in Miss Universe in terms of choreography styles and the country's culture?
Oh wow, that's a hard one because there's so many.
Uh-huh.
There's so many cultures. I think one that I always thought would be very interesting was India. I always thought that India would be interesting, and I always thought that Japan would be very interesting. Just because there's such a rich visual texture to the cultures. Colors
Yes.
are very vibrant and very important patterns and textures, and both have very unique styles of uh, cultural clothing and movement. So
Mhm.
and also music. So I don't know. Those two kind of always were in the back of my brain as something that I would really like. I kind of wish would happen when I was there.
Yeah.
Those two would be unique, unique and interesting for the brand, for the event.
All right. So here's another question for Alphonse, from Alfonsi. In case you're still watching Miss Universe, which you're not actually, are you familiar with the recent title holders of
No,
Miss Universe?
I'm
No.
not. I have to be honest, just because I'm not following it. So
All right.
unfortunately, no.
Yeah, it's okay. So, sir, okay, next question. So, given a chance to work with them again, with the Miss Universe organization, would you probably say yes and probably put it in your dashboard again?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if the opportunity came around, yeah, it would. I would welcome the opportunity to take all of the things that I've learned in the last 10 years. All of the projects that I've done, and so many new experiences and so many new things that I've been working on, and putting into my work. And as with everything, you grow and you change and you evolve. And it would really be interesting to go back to a project like that with all of this new perspective that I have. And
Yeah.
yeah, you never say never, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, sir, two more questions before one more question, or two. So,
Okay.
I've been having so much fun really reliving your memories in Miss Universe. So, sir, how do you see Miss Universe? I know as you've said, you put everything behind, you've put it in your rear view. So, how do you see Miss Universe being your former boss? How do you see the Miss Universe organization 10 years from now, or the Miss Universe pageant 10 years from now, based from what you are seeing right now? Do you think pageants will still be relevant even up until this time, or until the next 10 years?
Yeah, I think you know anything that is anything that has the opportunity to bring people together from different parts of one's own country, right? If you're looking at the country pageants, it brings people together from different regions of one's own country, and then consequently then brings people together from multiple parts of the world. I think that never goes out of fashion. That's why things like the Olympics are so popular, and I think that Miss Universe and pageants are so popular because it does what the Olympics does: beauty and fashion, and you know what I mean. And it's something that people can get behind to support their city or their country or whatever the region might be, that's submitting contestants. So I think that aspect of it is always, there's always something for people to cheer for. Um, so and I think it's a wonderful thing. I know there are people that criticize pageants, but again, it's kind of like I was saying before about not really seeing behind the curtain, and how much eye opening there was for me. These girls, many of them use this pageant as a platform, sorry, as a springboard for something else. It's a springboard to get them to another place, regardless of whether they win or not. And it's a wonderful thing for that. And it changes lives for them. If it changes their lives in very unique and different ways. But I think there's that side of it, that doesn't get talked about enough. You always hear about the winner, of course, but it changes the lives of everyone that's involved. Of all of the girls, one way or another. And like I said, in many cases, it gives them this confidence, that they can achieve anything, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
True. So, sir, my last question is, given everything that is happening right now, we are grappling with the pandemic. How do you see, how do you see the live entertainment scene uh, thriving even until this time? Do you think, like for instance, Miss Universe, do you think they will be able to survive this time of the pandemic, considering that last year they did not have an edition because we were so because of the lockdown, because of everything that's happening. But this year they might hold two editions uh, for
Right.
this year. So, yeah. So do you think how do you think the live entertainment scene will be able to survive this
Um,
time?
yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, it's a tough one because the rules are constantly changing. And I did a show back in December, or sorry, back in November, the only show I did all year, and it was very strange. There were so many rules in place. They actually did allow an audience, but it was not a lot of people, and they had to be separated, and everyone had to be tested every day. And
Yeah.
the issue is, at the end of the day, live entertainment thrives on a live audience. There's a connection between what's happening on stage and an audience reaction, and that's what makes live entertainment so wonderful and so special. And doing something completely virtual, without that audience interaction is tough, because the audience also, can surprise you. You can be surprised at the reaction. It can
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And for a performer on stage and for a contestant in this universe, all performers thrive off of crowd reaction. That's why a lot of people become performers. And the Miss Universe contestants and Miss USA and all pageant contestants, it's no different. They need that connection to an audience. So I think it will definitely weather the storm. I hope they're able to figure it out. I mean, that's probably $1 million question right now that everyone's trying to figure out. But it looks like we're on the downward slope of all of this, and
Yes.
sure
Yes.
we'll be fine and back to normal.
Since everyone is getting vaccinated,
Yeah.
right? So on that note, Sir Michael, that ends our interview. Wow, made it in an hour's time. So thank you so much. I really had fun reminiscing your time in Miss Universe. I hope that one day, these opening numbers or everything that we used to see back in the glory days of Miss Universe, or that of the Miss Universe pageant, will be brought back one after the other slowly. But so can you give a message to all the followers who have been admiring your work since the time you got involved in Miss Universe? Because even until now, at the height of the pandemic, we have been watching a lot of your work online. So yes.
Yeah, no, I'm so flattered and happy to hear that that my work has resonated with a lot of people from my time on the show. I think pageants are one of the few types of live entertainment where that information comes back to you, because I do so many types of shows. I do so many things where who people don't know who I am. They see the work that I do, but they don't know who I am, nor do they care. They just care that the work looks great. And
Yes.
people actually care and get excited about the people who create the work. And I think that's unique. There's not a lot of entertainment television programs out there where the fans and followers actually care and still talk about and remember the work that someone did on the show. And so that's really special, and I'm really flattered to have been asked to speak, and happy to know that people like what I did.
Yes, you've made a good impression and left an indelible mark in the in the entire Miss Universe history, given your talent and
Thank you.
showmanship. So, sir, thank you so much once again. Sir Omar, thank you so much for making this interview possible. I really learned so much from your work as a choreographer in Miss Universe, and I hope that one day, you know, everything that you have been doing in the show will be brought back once again. So yes. So thank you so much, sir. Again, it has been a great time knowing you. Thank you so much for accommodating me for this interview. God bless you, sir. Good night, and virtual hugs all the way from Manila, Philippines. Thank you so much again.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Good
All
night.
right. Good night over there. Bye, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you so, so much.